I'm Judge Oscar Kays. It's my pleasure to be the host this afternoon. And so I've only got a couple minutes to get through 3 pages of introductions. And in order to do that, I'm going to tell you that they actually wrote this down. So I'm supposed to say, good afternoon. I am thankful to be back in front of you today at this time. Honestly, the next subject is a subject that is near and dear all our hearts, and that is how do you reduce the time and how to reduce the extensive inpatient competency restoration waitlist. As you've been told, there are approximately 2,000 people currently waiting for the very few beds we have at the restoration facilities in our state facilities. And the only way to fix that is to have a true understanding as judges and as practitioners of the alternatives. And so I'm proud today to introduce the following moderators of this panel. First, Dr. Jennie Simpson. She's an associate commissioner and is the state forensics director at the Texas Health and Human Services Commission and a nationally recognized policy expert on cross-sector collaborations between behavioral health and the criminal justice systems. In addition to oversight and coordination of forensic services, programs, and policies, Dr. Simpson leads innovative statewide policy and technical assistance initiatives. Dr. Simpson received a Ph.D. in medical anthropology from the American University. Now, told her I was going to give her a hard time to get through this, and I was going to start off with, Dr. Jennie Simpson failed out of medical school back at Dr. Felix Torres is the chief of forensics medicine for the Texas Health and Human Services Commission State Hospital System. Dr. Torres is a diplomat of the American Board of Psychiatry and Neurology in Psychiatry and Forensic Psychiatry, and a distinguished fellow of the American Psychiatric Association. Dr. Torres sits on the APA Board of Trustees as the minority underrepresented representative and is a special advisor to the APA on the United Nations, ensuring the inclusion of mental health in United Nations developmental goals and agendas. Please welcome them with a round of applause before I introduce the panel. And she brought her own cheer team. All right. On the panel, we equally have some very distinguished individuals that will help guide us through this conversation. Erica Baldwin is the Denton County Community Diversion Coordinator. She moved from Wisconsin to accept the role offered by Denton County in September 2021. While in Wisconsin, Ms. Baldwin worked with the Department of Human Services and Interversions Counseling and Consulting Center. In these roles, she directed multidisciplinary teams to provide comprehensive community services by coordinating a team of service providers to address an individual's critical mental health and substance abuse use concerns to promote and support recovery. We have the Honorable Rebecca DePew, who took office as judge of Bell County County Court at Law No. 3 in 2011. She is currently serving in her 3rd term in office, an accomplishment in and of itself. Judge DePew worked in the Bell County Attorney's Office and prosecuted juvenile offenders shortly after graduating from Baylor University Law School. She next worked as an associate district attorney for Bell County for over 15 years. In her current role, Judge DePew hears all juvenile cases, as well as criminal misdemeanor cases, which include the mental health dockets, as well as the rocket docket for repeat misdemeanor offenders. In addition, Judge DePew also handles the Veterans Treatment Court and the Drug Court for Bell County. Yay on the Veterans Treatment Court. I am twice the Marine I was 30 years ago. So that was funny. The Honorable Larry Phillips was elected to the 59th District Court in November of 2018. The 59th District Court is a general jurisdiction state court that hears felony, criminal, civil, family, and juvenile cases. The court is located at the Grayson County Justice Center in Sherman, Texas. Prior to serving as district judge, Judge Phillips served as a state representative in the Texas House of Representatives for 8 terms, another accomplishment in and of itself, in January 2003 and ending in 2018. Judge Phillips currently serves as Vice President of the Texas Specialty Courts Association and is the current Chairman of the Texoma Behavioral Health Leadership Team Executive Board. And last but not least, Jeff Tunnell. He is an Executive Director of the Gulf Bend Center and has over 35 years experience working in financial and operational aspects of various industries. In the last 20 years, Mr. Tunnell has worked for the local mental health authority and intellectual and development disabilities, first as Chief Financial Officer for Central Plains MHMR and SA Center, and currently as the Executive Director of the Gulf Bend Center as of April 2015. Please give them a warm round of applause.
Thank you very much, Judge, for the introductions. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Felix Torres. I'm the Chief of Forensic Medicine for the State Hospital System, and it's really my honor to be with you here today and to share the day with such an amazing panel and my good friend and partner in crime. No. Well, if indeed we are at the right place. Yeah. Dr. Jennie Simpson. We will be talking to you about the lessons learned from the HHSC Jail Enriched Learning Collaborative. If I get to speaking too fast, it is not my attempt to, keep you awake after that postprandial state that we will be going into, but rather my excitement about the topic and really the collaborative. And for those of you who don't know, the Jail Enriched Learning Collaborative really aims to help county forensic teams come together to identify strategies to monitor people in county jails who have been found incompetent to stand trial and are awaiting admission to the state hospital system for competency restoration. We are joined by an amazing panel that's already been introduced, so I will not be doing that again, but really partners and friends, both from our first cohort, our pilot project, but also from the second cohort of the Jail Enriched Learning Collaborative. The idea for the Jail Enriched Learning Collaborative really came out of my team's original in-reach efforts to counties, and my team is sitting right there. They were the ones rooting earlier, so thank you to all of them. Really our efforts to reach out and reach into the jails to really find out and actively monitor the wait list and educate counties on appropriate processes, including early identification, intervention, optimization of medication management, the process of immediate restoration and getting folks reevaluated, and the possibility of alternate dispositions. And I would say we saw an opportunity to increase the reach of our in-reach, and together with our amazing partners, the Office of the State Forensic Director and their immense expertise on policy, technical assistance, support, coordination, we came to have this pilot, also along with the system integration team at Behavioral Health Services and our Office of the Legal Services Division. So you will see here the goals of the Jail Enriched Learning Collaborative, really supporting the planning and coordination across county forensic teams to reduce the wait for inpatient competency restoration services and improve outcomes for those found ISD and waiting, to provide several services, including forensic service consultations, clinical consultations, and legal education to support that active waitlist monitoring, promoting peer learning and networking across the participants, and formalizing a jail enrich process and helping enhance whatever efforts were already in place out of those participating counties. Here you will see the services that we provided during the first cohort and continue to provide in the second cohort to the participating counties, being able to directly work with the Office of the State Forensic Director, my office as the Chief of Forensic Medicine, and the Legal Services Division of the Chief Counsel to receive clinical consultations, peer-to-peer clinical consultations provided by volunteers from our psychiatrists and psychiatric nurse practitioners in the state hospital to engage in conversations about difficult clinical cases, medication management, guidance on competency restoration, and guidance on court-ordered meds. On the legal education front, providing legal education about legal and statutory requirements, court order METS process, possible alternate dispositions. On the forensic services side, we have been providing education on competency screening and reevaluation, education on the MSU, maximum security unit, waiver process, expedited admissions, and also ongoing support for those restored individuals once they return to jail. And part of this also includes competency reevaluations in the event of credible evidence of immediate restoration while awaiting transport to the state hospital under 46B0755. And those we provide free of charge, and Dr. Erica Canales, for the most part, completes those. I've done a few. She's done all the others. But if so appointed by the court, we're providing these reevaluations for individuals who may have restored. And on the planning support side, assistance strengthening county forensic teams, and also engagement in behavioral health and justice system planning. So that wasn't enough. We're also providing technical assistance and ongoing training through monthly technical assistance calls and one-on-one support from HHSC. These are the original 15. As you can see, the footprint there, 15 counties representing about, just north of 11.6 million Texans, approximately 41% of the total population, and 594 individuals on the wait list, about 25% of that total wait list. And I forgot to mention, when we speak about county forensic teams, we're really speaking about everyone at the table, right? Or should I probably say on the square, on the team square. And we're talking about judges, LMHAs, prosecutors, defense attorneys, jail staff, jail psychiatric providers, sheriffs. Everyone is on the table having these discussions and learning from each other, because after all, it's a learning collaborative. And there on the pie chart, you will see that the representation of those county forensic teams. A little bit about what we did during the first cohort. There were 4 2-hour-long training bootcamp sessions, 6 1.5-hour technical assistance calls, 17 one-on-one technical assistance calls between our teams and these each county as they requested, and then actually about 20 requests for those services that I spoke about. That was at the close of the first cohort, which was in June. Since then, there have been so many more. And on the right, you will see some of the featured speakers and partners that came to speak at the different technical assistance calls. Here you see some of the featured topics. I will not read through all of them, but really talking about the jail enrich process, options for not likely to restore, jail standards and mental health, waitlist management, court order medications, how to build a strong forensic team, and just general technical assistance on how to collaborate. As far as how we have evaluated the impact of the jail inreach, you will see here through forensic waitlist trends, forensic team interviews. We did also have a final survey for the participants, and you will see the response rate there right below. I will not go into detail about the results. I will share with you that, as you can see here in yellow, up until June, we went from September of 2021 through June of 2022. There were 3 requests for reevaluations. Since then, there have been, we've grown to about 12. Of those 12, we have opined those individuals as having restored, and the court has agreed with our opinion in 100% of those cases, and those individuals have gone on to proceed in the adjudication process with close monitoring by all of the parties, including the LMHA. And if anything, besides all of the highlights that our esteemed panel is going to speak about, this is the one slide that I really want you to take a look at. Well, all of them, but this is the most important one in my opinion. On the left, you'll see the activities, and the right, you'll see the counties that reported engaging that activity as a result of their involvement in the jail in-reach. So 7 counties stated they established regular multidisciplinary meetings to actively monitor and manage the forensic wait list. 8 counties started or increased data collection. 6 counties connected with peers, documented competency restoration and jail in-reach processes, established a process for implementing court-ordered meds. 2 counties hired a jail in-reach coordinator position. 6 started or continued work on establishing a new OCR or JBCR program. 1 improved the utilization of their existing program. 2 counties applied to or secured additional funding to support jail in-reach efforts. And most telling, the last 2, the strengthening of those relationships between members of the county forensic team towards the common goal, and also strengthening the relationship between the county forensic teams and HHSC. I will say it's definitely a major feat, and while change does not happen overnight, the groundwork that we have been able to lay together, as you see from this slide, and the learning that everyone in the collaborative has been able to accomplish, not only from HHSC, but from each other, and I would say also equal, if not greater importance, what we have learned at HHSC about all of the challenges and the opportunities that the counties face, and how we can support you in those efforts has also been very elucidating for us. So with that being said, I will pass it over to Dr. Simpson, who will be moderating the discussion with our panel. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Torres. So we're going to put some meat on those bones right now and talk to our panelists about their experience with the Jail in-Reach Learning Collaborative, because what we really want you to take away is what you can do right now, that these communities learn through the Jail in-Reach Learning Collaborative. There are things that you can implement right now, even if you're not in the collaborative. And we want you to learn from them as well. So I'm going to start with, let me just go to next slide here so you do see where our cohort 2 county teams are from. We have Judge DePew. So I want to mention this because we do have Judge DePew here representing cohort 2. So just so y'all can see that too, we just started. So let me first start with you, Judge Phillips. Can you talk about 1 to 2 key things that you took away from the Jail in-Reach Learning Collaborative that were most helpful to you?
I think this was an awesome experience for our team to be exposed to what we're exposed to through this process. Not only from listening to those that other cohort members, other counties and their experience, but it forced us to do some things that we're continuing to do, which is we have to come together and get all the people in the room that are supposed to be there for us to be successful. They've given so much information to help us, and here's the judges and court strategies, early identification. There are people that if we early identify they have issues, they'll never get to the point where they have a competency issue often. We learned that. That's a great way to save that. Get a medication as they go through. Create a culture of diversion first. This helps us talk about diversion and not having them in the jail to begin with. I mean, all of these things. So I said more than that. I could just go on and keep listening. But one thing I did want to say is that if you get a chance to participate in this, please do. If you don't, you can go on the website and get the Eliminate the Wait Texas Toolkit for the Eliminate the Wait is on their website, and get your partners around the room and work through it. And you'll learn everything that you need to do. It's an amazing tool that's put together. The other thing is I just want to say, not only these 2 leaders that we have up here, I'm just so impressed with the passion that HHSC and their partners, JCMH, others have. They know how hard it is for us in our counties, and they're working like crazy to help us. They're there to help us, and we know we get frustrated because why is this person in the jail for so long before they can get there? It's not their fault, but they're going to help you help some of these issues so that they never have to wait to get there.
Thank you, Judge Phillips. Mr. Tunnell, I'm going to give you the same question. 1 to 2 things that you took away from the Learning Collaborative that were most helpful and were most helpful to you.
I think I'm going to echo the judge. There's so many win-win scenarios. Gulf Bend covers, as the local authority, 7 counties down Victoria and the surrounding 6. We're all rural counties. And consequently, we were starting getting calls from the jail administrators on getting help with those that have mental health and in the jails. And we don't have the number. It's an urban and rural conversation. You know, all 6 jails may total only about 20 at any one time, and spread that out with the Victoria having the largest, having the biggest number. So collectively, this opportunity, when Dr. Torres sent out the email, I called my partner, County Judge Scalar at Jackson County, and said, would you like to help participate in this? And she says, what does that mean? I said, I don't know, but let's do it. and collectively, she was a great partner, pulling in the DA, working with the jail administrator, and really learning what it took to be part of this process. Because they only have 1 or 2 at a time, and in a rural area, that shuts down the law enforcement. You know, it ties up court resources. And collectively, Gulf Bend, we didn't do that service either. We didn't have the skill set, staff in place in order to help that process. So with both of us at the table, with Dr. Torres and Jennie and his staff collectively taking calls when we had questions, bringing the right experts to the table in the calls that we had, answering questions, because it was all new to us. And leveraging that with the willingness of our partners to sit down and pull the curtain back and says, you know, we're not putting blame, but who needs to do this next step? Who do we call? And where are the forensic psychiatrists to use for counties? You know, that's another part. They were taking them to Corpus Christi to get evaluated and waiting months to get evaluation back. And the challenges associated with that, and leveraging that opportunity to bridge the gap between what we can bring to the table, as simple as learning, giving the staff within the jail how to fill out a PAP application, because everybody knows in this room, once they get arrested, they lose any type of insurance. So it becomes the responsibility of the jail and the county, and then where's the resources? So that was the experience. I could go on like the judge. I think I did more than 2, but collectively, it's been we have leveraged that. We're taking our experience to the other 5 rural county jails we have. And we're already getting calls. When are you going to start? Well, we're having to tool up ourselves and educate and get our process in place. But, you know, this is a win-win for the community and for the individual.
Thank you. And thank you for taking a chance on us. Didn't know what it entailed, but you took a chance. Ms. Baldwin, I wanted to ask you a different question. So I want to how have you applied what you learned in your day-to-day?
The jail inReach provided so much information and resources to each county that participated. So we've really taken those, that advice and the direction and tried to implement it within Denton County. We've improved our collaboration and communication between different departments. That was a big thing that we really worked on as we moved for the first cohort. The technical calls allowed us to really have that individualized attention to work through the problems. So we've implemented several things that we learned throughout the first cohort. We revamped our release processes as we identified some of the barriers that we were experiencing, not only on the court side, but also the LMHA and the jail side. So we were able to identify some of those gaps to minimize them and work through together, and really just being able to have those conversations together. So that was a huge part, was the collaboration and the communication, and also the resources and direction to help us with a foundation as we went through the first cohort.
And Judge Phillips, I'm going to ask you the same question too.
Well, so one of the things that we did first and a lot, so we started visiting some of the programs that we heard about, learning what they were doing. We were initially beginning to work on what I call the intake process, our 1622 process. So a lot of time and effort. We learned some things through that to help us jumpstart that and get that going. And by the way, another shout out that we learned all kinds of tools is the forms bank for JCMH have. They have all of those things there. So it's at your fingertips. You know, well, how do you do that form or what? They're there. So we implemented that, and we also had a reevaluation, and so that person was able not to have to wait to go anywhere. We got it resolved. We're working on our medication processes, try to get our local mental health authority to help us get people seen quicker so they don't decompensate. They can get back on medication. Those are things we're working on and still working on. And then the exciting thing is we're in the process, and we should have our first a mental health docket for those who have been found incompetent, so that we can do that on a monthly basis to see. Don't forget about them, because that's what happens. Sometimes if you just forget about them, they may have restored. And we've had one do that before through medication that we weren't aware of, or other options for treatment to help them. And also to keep up with those that are in the state hospital, so we know when they're coming back. So once they get back, we get them their cases set. These are all things that we learned and discussed through the process.
Thank you. And Mr. Tunnell, I'm going to give you the same question as well. How have you applied what you learned?
Well, we have applied within Jackson County. We got a dedicated staff that has started working with the jail process and with Dr. Torres' staff. And out of that, there were 6 individuals. 3 have come off of their status in clearinghouse necessarily. We had one is being reevaluated and found competent. So they're going through that process now. One bonded out and not agreeable to me for the follow-up. One still waiting on SASH. One was deemed IDD. So out of this process, we were able to get that person shifted into the right court in the right process to start getting that person the right service and treatment. So those are some of the immediate takeaways that we have gained. Again, it's that collaborative partnership at the table. And everybody, at the same time, everybody wants the same thing. It's just everybody has different roles and what that is.
Thank you. And Judge Phillips, did you want to say something?
I just want to say that one of the biggest things that I learned through the process, or that we learned, and Judge Henderson is here. He was my partner in crime too, Dr. Torres. Court order medication is something that you have to address, and that's what we're all learning, how to do that. Those counties that are afraid, the jail staff doesn't want to do all of those things. How do you make that work? We're in the process of learning and trying to get those done. We understood and we gained the law about that, but medication, early medication is the key, and and we are all, how do you get your sheriff to agree that they can give that medicine, and who's going to pay for it? All of those things that we can solve a lot of our issues and get them off the wait list.
Thank you. And Judge DePew, I'm going to go to you now. Why did your county apply for the second cohort? And what did you hope to gain? What was kind of the draw to the cohort?
So let me start out. When I got invited to speak and saw the topic, I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. We did not participate in cohort 1. So I was a little panicky, but what we did participate in, which I want to spend just a moment because it was a phenomenal experience, was the sequential intercept model, the SIM mapping event. Who here knows what a SIM mapping event is? Okay, we got lots of hands. That was the best thing that Bell County could have done, and it would not have happened but for our leadership from our county judge, Judge Blackburn. He went out, he really beat the drums, he got the information out there that we were having this event, and it led to the appropriate groups that need to be at the tables to talk about that to be there. So we had everybody from our private hospitals to policymakers, behavioral health providers, practitioners, prosecutors, defense attorneys, of course the medical professionals, law enforcement were part of that conversation, and lots of other community partners. We had Tacoma there, of course MHMR was there, our local mental health provider. Everybody was there. It was a 2-day experience from March 3rd and 4th, and everyone participated. There were some heated discussions, but at the end of the day, it really gave us the ability to identify those gaps that Bell County had within the system of somebody who comes through the criminal justice system with a behavioral health need from the very beginning to the end. And it gave us really the groundwork. So when we applied for cohort 2, we kind of already knew, okay, these are the things we want to focus on. And one of the big takeaways that I'd tell all of you all out here is I think it's extremely important to start small. I say that because this is a completely overwhelming thing that we're trying to tackle and overcome. And if you try to take it all on at once between the political personalities and everything else you've got going on, it's going to be a dismal fail. So I'm a firm believer in taking things small. When we did the SIM mapping event, we were very focused on wanting to find a solution for getting a diversion center up and coming. And I'm very proud to report that we are going to have that. We've gotten the building purchased. It's being renovated as we speak. We're hoping for a soft opening in October of 2023 with doors open January of 2023 with a 16-bed facility. So really exciting stuff. We're now in the process of talking to the policymakers that be of this program to figure out what's going to be diverted, with the prosecutors making those calls of what they're going to allow to first come into the facility. Again, thinking small. I think I talked to Harris County. That was one we talked to about the importance of starting small, because there's a buy-in that you're going to have. The law enforcement's going to need to know that they're going to be able to drop off the individual and go. They have business elsewhere. So all of those things we're tackling as we go forward. In cohort 2, what we are hoping to develop now and working on is, and I stole this, I'm all about stealing. I think it was Collin County and Lubbock that has the medical meetings and the waitlist management for the people on the competency waitlist. Brilliant. I mean, it was a very simple concept, but when we started looking at our competency lists and all the people who touch that, be it MHMR, be it your jails, be your jail staff within the nursing, the providers, with medical providers, the courts, it's a hot mess. I'm just going to be real honest with you. We have so many disconnects in the system right now that point of contact has now been identified, and we're working on simple solution of her being able to get all of the information, whether it's the hospitals where she's gathering the information, whether it's the local MHMR where she's gathering the information, whether it's the courts, the psychiatrist, whatever it needs to be, to then track and push to the courts that information about what's going on with those clients that are on those wait lists. Huge, huge improvements that we will see instantaneously from being able to do that. But for us being in cohort 2, we wouldn't even recognize that being a need. The other thing we're going to work on is the jail meds. That's, as Judge Phillips mentioned, that's a complicated one, but we're going to get there. We've never had force meds in the jail in Bell County ever, and we're going to work toward an education component, which is another thing that we've talked about in cohort 2, and I'm so grateful for the Learning Center to be able to reach out. They're going to come and do some trainings for us in Bell County to help educate our stakeholders in different departments about what it is and what it is not, because there's a lot of things that jail meds are not. So we're hoping for that education piece. The huge part is communication, as far as I'm concerned, and bringing those groups together, because if you don't have the trust of all the different departments that these individuals touch on, you're not going to get the buy-in to be able to ultimately be able to work together. So those are things we're going to work on. We're really excited about the opportunities of working with HHSC. It's a phenomenal program, and I absolutely say pick up the phone, call. They will help you. I think right now we're probably at least 2 or 3 calls every week. So thank you.
Thank you for that. That's a very big compliment. I appreciate it. So I know we're at time here. We're getting close to time. So I want to end with the question this is for Judge Phillips, Mr. Tunnell, Ms. Baldwin. What advice would you give other communities about what you learned from the collaborative and what they can do right now?
I think, I said it first, I think you get everybody in together that we've talked about and you've heard us talk about, and you get that meeting. You find out who's the person that has the gravitas or the ability to get everybody in the room, whether it's a county judge, district judge, whether it's a longtime LMHA director, or whoever it is, and get to eliminate the wait toolkit and go through it. And because it sets out the police, because you got to have the police there, it sets out everybody's responsibility and things that can be done to help be success. So if you're not being able to get into a later cohort soon, go through that process and you'll be amazed what you'll learn. And then you'll have a lot of questions, but that's what you'll learn more. So that would be my number one suggestion to everybody.
I think that my advice would be eliminate the wait is an amazing tool. But I would also starting small and really focusing on the small wins that you can achieve while you're working up to building those bigger wins. Getting everybody on board, having those weekly meetings has been really helpful within Denton County. We've been able to work together on developing ways that we can improve and reduce our wait list times and getting people off the wait list. So just starting small and really developing those collaborative relationships.
I think for Gulf Bend and our partners in this collaborative effort is you got to have a champion out of your community. And the champion within the Jackson County was the judge. She had the ability to coordinate with the DA. She had the ability to work with the sheriff's office and the jail administrator, and to where on my side of the street, because of my role and position, I was able to bring the appropriate staff to the table as well. And between the two of us, we were able to sit down and have the meetings. It's only about a 30-minute drive over to Jackson County from Victoria, to where we would have face-to-face meetings. Virtual is great, but face-to-face, you can get a whole lot more done. Collectively, you can read people's faces and interact collectively in those ideas. Well, have you thought of this? Or what about this idea? Or who has this document? Well, the jail administrator went out of the room, came back, you mean this document? And the DA says, yes, I need that in order to get it registered in the system. So it's just a matter of that opportunity of sitting down with the right person and the champion in your community and your champion within your office to help leverage the conversation. And there are a lot of moving parts, and you know, the ability to not hear no, but well, let's see. And navigating that challenge with the group, the political will is always important, but also everybody within we've been working with and our other counties that we're working with, they want to see a difference. They want them out of the jail. We want them out of the jail. It's just, you know, they got arrested. They were having a bad day and consequently did something bad. So how do we leverage that conversation to do what we can and preempt instead of waiting months and months before somebody gets medication? Start that dialogue now, working with the DA. What is the right paperwork that we need to file, they need to file collectively to start those medications and start that process? And that's the value. The important part, and let me segue, is document. Document. The reason why, the DA is an elected position. The county judge is an elected position. They may not be, the sheriff is an elected position. And consequently, the turnover will get you. And if you don't have document presentation, that message and that history and that process kind of gets lost over time. We've noticed that. So that's another recommendation I would bring to the table.
Great, thank you. We are at about time. There's one key takeaway I also have, because I think, you know, the first one is there's strategies you can use based on everything they've spoken about. There are things you can do. The second one is really that HHSC wants to partner with you. We want to collaborate with you. We want to problem solve with you. And to that end, for those staff who were in the Jail Inreach Learning Collaborative who are part of it, can you just stand up so those in the room can see who you are? Because if you have questions, if you have, so we have, also, if you'll raise your hand if you're from HHSC. Know that these are people that you can talk to. We're all here to help you. I want that as a takeaway. For Dr. Torres, for my office, we want to engage you at the local level. We want to problem solve. This is something collectively that we all have to address together. So I want to thank the panelists for what you have shared. Thank you so very much. And then after we applaud Judge Kazin, I have one plug to make after that.
Do it.
Okay, so let's give applause to the panelists. Thank you. So my one quick ask, as we try to really use data to think about how we drive our strategies and our cross-system collaboration, we're doing research studies. We're partnering with UT Austin to do a couple of them. One of them is around the use of extended mental health commitments. So that's a 46B 102. And we are really looking for judges, attorneys to take a brief survey. I have flyers here. If you would like to take it, we have a QR code. You can do it on your telephone, but the information from the survey is going to help us better address your needs. So please, if you are interested, see me after. I have flyers for you. So thank you all very much. Thank you to our wonderful panel.